Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to Unit Masters Cohort 5. We are now in week 4 of our common 6 weeks learning journey. And today we have as a live mentor with us, Michelle, calling in from the US. And Michelle will share about her background in a second. I just want to name a few of her, her skills, and there are manifold. So she was an attorney at PayPal, and she has worked before PayPal with Cisco, eBay, Samsung, Apple. So when it comes to tech and anything on the finance or fintech side, here Michelle is our go-to lady. And then she also worked on a number of startups bringing blockchain payments into the corporate world. And she's working with a lot of different institutions that are world leading in terms of tech education. And she has also a lot of social impact projects under her, I don't know, sleeves. So very happy to have you with us today, Michelle. And also, one thing that I would want to say, which I found very impressive, is she's also a producer and host of Laptop Radio at Stanford University. So now we have it all, quite a holistic set of skills, and I'm super excited to hear firsthand insights from you. Thanks for being with us, Michelle.
Okay, so I think this is unmuted. So my name is Michelle. I am the founder of Elevate the Blockchain. I'm also an NFT artist. I call it Big Goddesses, and there's a story behind that. And also the Chief Marketing Officer at Standard Protocol, which is a DeFi project. I'm just going to begin with my life story. First and most important of all, I'm an artist at heart. So in college at UC Berkeley, I self-taught myself how to develop website and also design. So I'm a web designer, a web developer, and also a technical writer in college for a company called COSOL Technology in Danville. And I write very nerdy technical books and design websites. I was also a web developer and a technical writer for Cisco systems. So I wrote the books for VPN, iOS, and a bunch of other technology. I just found it really fun, and it helped me to be disciplined. When I first coded, I thought, the period and the comma and all the words have to be exact, or else the code does not work. And in the early days, when the web just came out, you have to learn different skill set. Like you have to be a designer, not just a web developer. And I know that the roles have branched out a little bit, but I found it really, really fun. So, the goal is always, how do you create a web page that is appealing, but yet functional? And how do you explain that to the world in different books so that other people can also make websites and understand your project? So I came from a bit of a technical background first while I was in college. And, in college, I was studying molecular cell biology, history, and kind of weird in a way, but I was also a web developer. And then I took a constitutional law class at Berkeley, and I thought, maybe I wanted to save the world. Maybe I wanted to, change the discourse of history so that people can live better. So my dream is to change the world in a better way. So I was working with a public defender in San Francisco while I was in law school. And I was also an intern at Asian Law Alliance. However, I think it was too slow paced for me because I also love the tech part. Remember I was also a technical writer and web developer. So then so I was at Cisco writing these manuals, and I was just like, maybe I should go into the legal department, and see what I can do there. So I went to Cisco and I was negotiating contracts and, actually before I even graduated from law school, working closely with their lawyers there. And I loved it. I love, intellectual property, the exchange of ideas and the protection of it. And, I was really fascinated, with law. In fact, remember I was in law school really early, when internet just kind of came out. So I would take, I know you guys would totally laugh at me, but I would take e-commerce law without going to class. Like I would basically buy the materials. And I know this is super nerdy, but I never really believed that you have to be taught by a teacher in order to learn. You know, um, I got in high school, I got math in all my math class, like mostly like in junior high, I've gotten straight A's in every A in every math test. I took calculus in high school and I was in the math trivia group, right? So, like my philosophy or my mentality about learning is the same as in law. Like I really love IP, so why don't I like just read everything about it? I wrote a paper on open source, which is really outside of what they teach in law school. I also wrote a paper on vicarious liability, and whether the internet company should be liable for content on their site. Total futurist, right? Because when we really think about it today, that still apply, right? Should Facebook be responsible for the content that's on their website? Should they moderate that content? How much control would they need? So, and I think back in the days when I wrote that paper, I really believe that they should. Even though the ISPs basically provided a safe harbor for them. So I love being a lawyer. I was a lawyer at PayPal. I was there for 6 years. I worked closely with awesome people in the sales team, and we eventually placed PayPal everywhere on the site. And being a corporate lawyer in fintech, it's really about educating people, because not a lot of people really knew what PayPal was or how it worked, right? Because it's still really early, and PayPal is still some of the laws and some of the products are still bleeding edge, right? I mean, PayPal purchased Bill Me Later. They also purchased Zong, and then they later purchased Wear app. And I remember I was in calls with talking about telecommunications and payments, and taxes, and all that kind of like new bleeding edge law stuff that the society has not really caught up, or the legal community has not caught up, right? It's really bleeding edge. And even when I was at eBay, I went to Cisco and then eBay and then Samsung and then Apple. And remember when I was at eBay, I was doing a lot of, you know, uh, I guess research on privacy, because, my manager was the leading thought leader on privacy. So we're part of a think tank on privacy. So I was doing a lot of research also on the Napster case and how that impacted vicarious liability, right? So, those are all like leading edge. So, and also I think eBay had a spidering case. People were basically spidering the site, and eBay argued that that was trespass. So we're using conventional law to apply to new technology things. So so I love being a lawyer because it's kind of fun for me, and it's really exciting closing all these deals. When I was at PayPal, I was working on a lot of the IP licensing. I was working on procurement. It's really how to save money and working with different partners, and then working on sales, right, and signing up different merchants onto the website so that you can use PayPal like everywhere. And I also wrote a lot of the playbook for the gateway, and then also distribution channels, as well as merchant services. So I wrote a lot of the almost like Bible for lawyers when I was there. And I also negotiated with the information security team and insurance. and you know, I was working at a public company, you know, there's only two lawyers, right? So for me, it was easy just, you know, from doing everything lawyer to just, you know, doing a few things. So I think my previous experience doing everything, you know, and all my experience at all the other companies really helped my role at PayPal, right? And I thought it was just kind of fun, closing all these deals. And so, you know, I had a lot of fun as a lawyer. And then, you know, what happened was I really wanted to build something, you know, when I was at Cisco. I thought founding a company would be awesome. You know, like I wanted to, you know, build something. And when I was at PayPal, actually, I thought, you know, I was just gonna be there part-time, you know, but I ended up kind of, you know, really being there for 6 years and, you know, kind of building out their legal. And then I became an innovator, you know, and I was really scared, you know, for like, you know, like 2 years. I was just like, well, you know, how do you become an entrepreneur? How much money do you need to live? You know, like as an attorney at PayPal, you're basically protected, right? So, you know, how much money do you really need to survive? You know, but I decided to, you know, someone was just like, do you want to live comfortably or do you want to live on the edge? So I decided to live on the edge, and I co-founded, you know, a series of companies. And while I was doing co-founding, you know, these companies, I was also volunteering at MIT Stanford Venture Labs, and also a bunch of nonprofit, you know, that you saw, you know, AI. I think lovingai.org, we made a software module for Sophia so that she can help humans become more conscious. Distributed computation is compute for cancer. So we basically, when you plug into your phone, your computation is donated to power cancer research and also Robots Without Borders. So you also, you know, we make chatbots to help people from all around the world with education. And then I also made chatbots. I was tutoring AP history and AP biology. So I would make chatbots to help them with multiple choice, you know, just designing them and just making them. And you know, my students all passed and they didn't really know that I was using AI to help them. So it was kind of cool. Like, and I was like doing these for my students only, you know, and not for the world, you know. I just basically tailor them. So I kind of love being an innovator. I still do that. I still use a lot of AI. You know, also play with a lot of augmented reality. I play with metaverses, you know, and I developed them myself, you know, so it's kind of cool to code and to actually make things, you know. And then last year, you know, being a woman founder, and I don't know how many women are here, you know, sometimes it's really hard because I remember I was speaking about privacy, you know, and I speak around the world about blockchain. And you know, one of the co-organizer of a conference was just like, oh, we invited you to a privacy conference to give you credibility. And I was just like, you know, I've done privacy, you know, since I don't know, you know, since when I was at Cisco, really, you know, where I was giving privacy presentations to lawyers, even when I was in law school. You know, like I'm not here for credibility. I'm here, you know, to give back to the community, right? The blockchain community, so that it has a foundation to be built, to share my knowledge, right? So that the ecosystem is better. But I was very devastated, you know, from like all these men and you know what they tell me. So I decided to, you know, spend the time to make art. And also it's hibernation, and what better way to spend, you know, hibernation because of COVID to code and also to be an artist. So I spent last year, you know, the entire year just making augmented reality art. And I grew my Instagram account from knowing no one, you know, from 0 to 150 million impressions within a really short amount of time, you know. And I've done that before. I've actually have grown my Apple apps to Apple front page. You know, many times I've like actually been featured on Vine, like with like Michelle Obama and Vans and NASA, and have millions of impressions. So I'm really good with that naturally, so my artist account, AR account has grown. But when I was creating it, I just wanted to make sure that I'm not doing it for growth. So I'm actually consciously, making it, for the art's sake, because my intention last year was creativity and it was not growth. And growth just kind of happened, as part of it, right? And just trying not to make sure that, I don't grow too much. And and then this year, as you know, NFT became really popular, and so because I made a lot of AR goddesses last year as an AR artist, I also make physical jewelry and 3D jewelry, like in 2012 or 2013. So then I decided to call myself bit goddesses, because I was making a lot of big goddesses. So that's, why the name of my account is like that. I'm also an advisor and mentor. I'm a mentor at Berkeley Blockchain Accelerator. I really love working with different startups and different founders. I'm also a mentor at Singularity Ventures. And also at REF, like a lot of Duke University students that one of my friends co-founded an accelerator there. So I basically help him, and he assigned little, startup companies to me. Hack Temple, and then also SV Academy, which is more like European and Turkish community, connecting that with Silicon Valley. And then Hack Temple is more like the Russian community. So I have provided licensing talks and different skill set to the community there. As an advisor, I advise many companies, different verticals, a lot of people older than me, a lot of people younger than me. So it's been kind of fun, just in non-blockchain and blockchain companies. And it's kind of rewarding for me to see the growth in the founders and also the growth in the company. I think I'm a futurist because I co-founded a company in 2000. I think a lot of things I do is I'm always ahead of my time, so I was doing a lot of things really early. Like I was doing education and AI, as you guys know, before AI and education became really popular, with my little chatbots and, tutoring AP biology and AP history and English. I was doing, blockchain in 2015, 16, and it didn't really become popular until 17 and 18. And I was basically doing a lot of AI. The first company, the platform that I created was really based on a lot of algos. So I had a lot of factualization and a lot of AI in that company. So, I think, and I'm really into consciousness as well. And actually I did an artificial soul submission for the Singularity project in 2014, actually, super early. And then that's when I, did artificial love, because I thought artificial soul and artificial love is really related. And then for the AI theme of Burning Man, a couple years ago, we did a sculpture, AI sculpture. And I wanted that sculpture to be interactive too, which I think is going to be the future, is interactive art. So this is going to be an NFT. So NFT is a unique identifier. And it basically allows you to earn money on royalty. And, it's an NFT of anything, right? So it could be IP, it could be art, it could be something physical, right? It could be open source, it could be music. So, anything that you can have a unique identifier with. So it's super exciting, and and I love it so much more because remember, I'm an IP attorney, right? So I'm just like, oh my god, this is so cool. And also an artist, so it's kind of weird.
Maybe Michelle, just for those not everybody is very familiar with Maybe you could share your assessment of why is NFT so revolutionary, in particular because you come from the IP field.
Yeah, so like if you guys have art, if you guys have art, you'll see that you can create something, a digital image, and there's metadata, but what the token does or what the blockchain does is really log it. So it gives you authenticity that you made it, that is yours, and there's a log of it and a timestamp, right? So everything is, it's stored onto the blockchain or IPFS. So there's a whole record of it. And also, so it's unique in that way. And then two is traditionally, a lot of artists, it's not, there's no secondary sales or royalty. Like I sell something to you, but when you resell it, it's really hard to tell, right? But now there's actually a whole tracking system. And another cool thing is the system itself, the smart contract could, I actually wanted to talk about the blockchain stuff before I talk about the details of it. But with secondary sales is that the blockchain, the smart contract could basically split payments. So if 5 people make something as collaborators, then the smart contract could pay like 5 people and just split those payments. And then not just the first primary sale, but also the secondary sales and all the royalties. So that's why it's super awesome. Okay, and then it could be the NFT of everything. And so I'm an advisor at Doing Good. They're basically an NFT project that basically donates to charity and also a DAO. And then NFT Go is kind of like the coin market cap of NFTs. And then REM is AR and NFTs is actually, those are really cool projects. I think REM's pretty excited about. I wanted to, talk a little bit about traditional fintech and then go into blockchain and DeFi. And I'm gonna go through the slide because we have a certain number of minutes. And I think when you see the entire picture of it, I think NFT will make sense, for you because there's an interplay of NFTs and blockchain because NFT is based on, the underlying blockchain technology, and then NFT, could also interplay with DeFi. So I wanted to go over those to you, at least an introduction of it. And then at the end, I'm going to open it up to questions, but I want to make sure that you have the basic concept so that you'll understand it, I think, from more of a larger perspective. So, like you can't really talk about DeFi and blockchain without talking about payments. And there are a lot of problems with payments today. You can see that there's a lot of wallets, and then you have all the banks. There's no interoperability between them, right? You cannot send something from PayPal to Google Wallet, pretty obviously. I mean, like maybe PayPal and Venmo, but not really. Still, I mean, you have to sign up for them. However, with crypto, you can send one crypto to another. You can exchange, different kinds of crypto, and I can send something to you using like a stable coin or whatnot. So it's just a little bit different. And then in traditional system is 3 to 5 days to settle a transaction. For blockchain, it's really instant, and for Bitcoin it takes about 10 minutes, but for everything else it's gotten faster and faster. And then also the fees, right? I think you guys know about all the bank fees. In crypto, we have something called gas fees. That's for miners, but it's a little bit different because at least the fees that we have goes to the miner, which is a little bit more distributed than one bank charging fees for basically everything. So then, I wanted to go over a little quickly about how the traditional system work in terms of how money is circulated, right? So we have merchants, and then you have the gateway. You have risk management and processing that basically checks to see the transaction is fraudulent or not. Then you have the issuer, and then they basically, all of these basically compiled and become the system of how the current payments work, right? And so we have issuing. I'm not going to go over the details of it, because we don't have a lot of time. But we have the issuing bank. They're like Visa, and then we have the acquiring bank. They're usually like Wells Fargo. Then you have the payment gateway, like VeriSign. And then you have the processor. So in the current system, there's a lot of payment processors. And the transaction goes like this: you check out, then the payment gateway confirms, and then you have all the banks and the card network and the payment processing in the background, right? And then settlement takes forever, and it goes to the 3 to 5 days. It goes to the client bank. There's a payment processor, and then all the banks basically communicate it, and then they approve or deny your transaction. And then you have blockchain, and that basically changes the entire payment system, because it can settle a lot faster. There's transparency and accountability. Everything is basically there on the blockchain. And so this is a diagram where money is sent, and you create a block. The block is broadcasted, and then then it then receives the money from Alice. The block is basically transparent, is recorded onto the blockchain. It's secure, it's almost instant, and it's a global P2P network, and that's the consensus layer. What is really different from the payment system is that now you have a different layer that basically validate transactions, and these could be the miner, these could be the validators, and in DeFi we call them oracles. And oracles have incentives to, as part of the network community, to basically make sure and validate these transactions. And these could be the governance, right? They could basically also make decisions. Blockchain offers transparency and is immutable, right? Immutable is a big word in blockchain because you can't erase things. Once it's there forever. And there's different copies of it. So they call it forking. Because of this layer, each node has a copy. So you can't really erase it. So the advantages of blockchain is that, of course, it has hashes of transactions. It's public yet private. So, like there's also private blockchain. There's, when there's interplay of privacy and blockchain, there's certain information that is public, but, certain information could be also public. So it's super, super dynamic. Okay, so, and you also have immutable records, so that is the blockchain technology. And as you can see, with blockchain and NFT, you're having art that is transparent, that is immutable, and that is recorded on the blockchain. And you can have, the sales that are recorded every single time. And for the first time ever, artists could make money directly, peer-to-peer, without having middle people selling your art or representing you. So it's really exciting because for whatever that you make, you can sell it to someone else directly, and you don't really need to have representation of middle people. So that itself is revolutionary. Like it's an art renaissance right now. So if you're an artist, you can create things and people will buy it. So, and your friends are your early supporters. So that's really interesting. And then the last part of the presentation, I wanted to talk about decentralized finance, because when you talk about NFTs and the title is beyond the hype, right? So is NFT here to stay, or is NFT a trend? And the dynamics of NFT is that it's also interplay with DeFi, which is decentralized finance. And NFT, could be used in DeFi in many, many ways. You can earn interest from your NFT. There's a company called Chartered Particles that allow you to do that. You could also use NFT as a collateral, right? And you can earn tokens by having breeding NFTs. So I want to talk about DeFi as as a completion of the the talk. I think the market cap for DeFi is actually pretty high. As you can see, it has dropped a little bit since May, but it's still pretty out there. And in the DeFi space, people talk in terms of TVL, which is the total value locked in DeFi. To earn yield is kind of like interest. So if you deposit it in a coin, or you stake it and farm it, then you may earn interest. So a lot of people are actually staking their ETH or a certain coin. And certainly I'm not giving financial advice. This is really general information about decentralized finance. So what is decentralized finance? It's global, it's open, it's peer-to-peer, and it's financial products that let you borrow, invest, trade, earn interest, and it's based on open source technology. So it's based on Ethereum or the blockchain, right? And I think we talk about some of the challenges, and these are some the same cost, extensive settlement time, time limitation. So blockchain and crypto NFT is 24/7. It's a global market, and it's not dependent on your credit or bank score. And it's actually for developing countries. It's revolutionary. Because you don't need a bank account. All you need is your wallet, and you can basically borrow and trade and earn interest. Over the years, we've seen a decline of banks, especially during COVID. And with DeFi, you have a wallet, that's all you need. And that's the same thing with NFT, right? And blockchain. It's open to all. It's faster. There's transparency. And this is an example of a DeFi layer. You'll see that blockchain Ethereum is there. And you'll see some, different kinds of lending platform. Sometimes there's a stablecoin. There's a liquidity layer that allows you to exchange that for different things. And I think NFTs have a role in a lot of these layers. And then, and this is an example of some of these new ONU financial products. It's just a merging of old concepts from corporate fintech to, a lot of new DeFi tech, right? So a lot of these things that you see are really new, but stablecoins are new. A lot of the other things are old. DEX are just decentralized exchanges. Money Legos just means the flexibility of DeFi. That means that you can put any of these things. You can mix NFT with like savings or borrowing or lending, and collateralization. You can basically say, hey, my NFT, my Bored Ape NFT is worth, I don't know, 100,000, and I'm gonna use it, I'm gonna lend it out, and and you can borrow it, or and you can earn interest in it or something. Just you can be really creative. They're like money Legos because you can just mix and match. This is an example of decentralized borrowing. It's peer-to-peer. There's a liquidity pool, so you can basically borrow fund from a pool. So there's privacy because there's no credit check. It's based on collateral. Usually you have to over collateralize, and if you don't pay it back, it's just basically the smart contract just revert it back. So there's no need for trust, right? And trust is really a big word in the blockchain NFT and also DeFi space. With lending, you can earn interest, and then your interest is really dependent on APR. the D DEX is always open. You can swap, you can basically sell, and you can control your assets. So standard, where I'm doing marketing is basically a stablecoin project. With stablecoin, there's no volatility. It's always like usually around $1. You get safety, and then there's use cases, because it's kind of like money, but it also has interest. It's some kind of, I call it magic money. It's kind of different from like normal stable coins even. So it's actually pretty cool. And a lot of people, park their crypto in stablecoin, especially during a bear market. And then governance, I also am a co-founder of the Governance Research Institute. So we do research on DAOs and governance structure, and how to organize and make governance more efficient. It's because I was working with a public company doing a lot of the SEC filing, so I have an interest in governance, just working with the board of directors and all the disclosure forms on the governance part. And this is the DeFi ecosystem. It's quite big, and it has a lot of like products. You can see on the marketplaces. You see OpenSea. OpenSea is the basic, I would say, NFT platform. Where you can go to OpenSea.io, you'll see that you can log into MetaMask, and you can actually see it. I think they kind of copy eBay, and you can kind of see, all the little NFTs that you can buy. And then like Super Rare and Origin are also NFT platforms. Super Rare as well. And then the other ones are like Known Origin Foundation. There's like a lot of new NFT platforms coming out. So Coinbase is here. So in the US, people usually use Coinbase to buy these coins. There's a lot of stable coins, but a lot of them are actually the last generation of stable coins. And then there's also credit and lending. So you see Compound and Aave, which are the blue chips of DeFi. So Standard has a community. And then that's all I have. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, we have a few coming up already in the chat, Michelle. I'll read them out in a second. Thank you very much first for this comprehensive overview. Maybe just to guide us a little bit into where to put attention. What are the exciting developments that you're seeing in the market right now?
Yeah, I think I see a lot of for the NFT space, a lot of maturity of NFT. So I'm actually, even yesterday, I was on Twitter, and we were talking about IP and NFTs, and we see a lot of copycats. Like someone was copying crypto punks, and they call it crypto funks, right? So, the community is just like, this is not right. We should have a manifesto. So we're working on a manifesto for the NFT community now. And it's kind of interesting because it's really community based. We usually just kind of like, oh, let's have a meeting and talk about this. And people, basically just kind of jump in. And once we jump in, we're like, okay, here's some of the action items, that we're gonna do. So we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of education. So there are like different groups, particularly on Clubhouse, that onboard different users and musicians. I'm part of a musician group, so I'm collaborating with a few musicians on working with them and onboarding them to NFT. So I would make the art, and they would basically make the music, and we would basically collaborate on an NFT together. And a lot of it is just really giving them also a different advice on how they would mint their first NFTs. We do have musicians who sell out their NFTs and in minutes.
Wow.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Let's maybe take that example of a musician. Somebody in the chat, Philip, asked, if there were like if you were an opera singer or any other musician, what are you actually gonna do in order to tap into the NFT space? And what are the pitfalls? Like, how do you pick the right platform? What is actually important to know before being able to really tap into this opportunity that you just mentioned?
Yeah, so the most important thing is building your community on Discord and also on Clubhouse, because you want a community first before you sell your NFTs. Like when I first I created some art called Crazy Crypto Asian. And when I make them, I had a community already, right? Because a lot of people knew me from speaking. So my friends, purchased my NFTs, right? And I was donating 90%. I'm donating 90% to a Stop Asian Hate organization. But your community is going to be your most important thing. It's not actually your art per se or even your music. So I would begin building that community as soon as possible.
A community in the crypto space, or like, what do you see as the major driver for success? Do people have to be already in the crypto area, or can you just onboard anybody?
Yeah, I mean, it's easier if the people have it's in the crypto area, because then, when they buy your NFT, they need to have a MetaMask wallet or Ethereum account, right? So your target audience will be the people with a MetaMask wallet and in the
Exactly.
NFT community and other
And then,
artists, okay? Because there's like as an artist, I buy other artists' work a lot.
okay, it makes a lot of sense to connect artist by artist, support each other, build the community, and then pool the reach together. Somebody asked, Tokyo asked, from a bird's perspective, how as an artist or anybody else do you differentiate between OpenSea, Nifty Gateway, other NFT marketplaces? Like where to start?
Yeah, so OpenSea is kind of like the classic platform, and then and you don't have to be correlated to get in. Nifty Gateway and all the other NFT platforms, you basically need to, there's an application and it takes a long time to get in. So, you can basically, usually we have different NFTs on different platforms. And, once you're on OpenSea, you can give like these to Nifty Gateway as examples of your art. For example, I'm on OpenSea, but I'm also on Hikanan, which is like a Tesla's platform. And gas fees are really, really not, it's very cost effective. And plus with OpenSea, you can't do a lot of the coding, like NFT. So I do a lot of generative art. So I use Hikanon for generative art, OpenSea for my collectibles. And then, all the other platforms are like one of one art and not like really collectibles. So it really depends on what kind of art you make. I would use OpenSea for collectibles, Hikanon for generative art or Calumet, and then a lot of the other platforms for one-of-one art.
Yeah. And what is now, in your view, maybe in layman's terms, the difference between an NFT and a fungible token?
Yeah, so NFT, okay. So NFT is non-fungible token. A fungible tokens, could be a lot of things. It could be a utility tokens, it could be a security tokens, it could be a commodity tokens. So with the like Ethereum and Bitcoin, those are tokens, and you trade for it with value. The fungible token is really tied to an X, to an item.
Mhm. So it's not linked to uniqueness of the
It's
token
linked
in,
to,
in
yeah,
that.
it's linked to uniqueness, but all the other tokens are linked to, there's a like Ethereum, it's linked to a blockchain, but it just has value. It's not linked to uniqueness, right? Because you can have like 25 Ethereum, so they're just coins. So coins is like you have $100, but it's not it's not unique. It's not like yeah, dollars are not unique. They're just
Yeah.
dollars.
I ask these questions because nowadays on the different marketplaces, you can issue 10 NFTs with the same color. So then the barriers or the borders, they just dissolve, and people get a bit confused about it. I was wondering if you
Oh
could
yeah,
share
so
a
those
little bit of
are,
insights.
yeah, so those are collectibles, and I actually
Mm-hmm.
have them. If you go to my link tree, Big Goddesses, you'll see that I have some additions. Like I make some hearts, right? And they're like, I issue like 1,000 of them for like really, 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 really low cost. You know,
Yeah.
because my point was just to give the world love and not to make money. Um, but yeah, so you can actually mint additions of those. Like think of like maybe, I don't know, baseball cards, the same person. You can
Yeah.
have 100 of certain item, right? And those are addition. And usually with like collectibles with addition, the price is just a little bit lower. And that's what it is. And it should say 1 of 1, 1 of 2, and you can just buy of the same thing. And sometimes we do this, like for example, if you're like an event person, to have like a same ticket, and you wanted to have 25 person to own that ticket to go to an event, right? That could be used that way. So it would be like the same ticket, but everyone is sharing the same event. That's another use of NFT.
Okay, thanks a lot. So now we maybe speak about the uniqueness, like IP and then decentralized and open source environments. How does this go together?
Yeah. So the IP, the art, you own the IP. I think the NFT space still needs licensing and still need proper IP protection, which it doesn't really have right now. So some of like I bought a mint tape that my friend made, and it's basically open source music on an NFT platform. And my friend basically says, it was open source. So I know that, I can use it, right? And he's working on a licensing to allow that. So there are, you could basically NFT open source, provided that there's a license that tells you that it's open source. In terms of open source in the blockchain space, a lot of the DeFi projects are open source. That means that the code is public. I suspect, and this is not legal advice, that there may be more litigation in the future, because you see a lot of banks basically filing a lot of patents. A lot of companies are filing patents. So, I suspect that there may be IP litigations in the future. So, and there might be a privatization of it as a result of enforcements of patent. So I think that, if you're an entrepreneur in the space, and you're into open source, a strategy that a lot of people do, kind of like Elon Musk, is that you might want to patent your technology and then open it up. So, that could be a strategy as well.
Thanks. Maybe one question from the audience. Tokir asked, could you please explain one of the major drivers for the increasing price for a project such as the CryptoPunks?
Yeah, sure. So for CryptoPunk, one of the major reasons is that they're just OG. Like they're from I think 2018. Right after CryptoKitty. So because they're OG punks, their price has risen because of that. And another thing that the community looked at is also the you know the amount of CryptoPunks there is, right? So they have just a limited supply, and because it have prominence, and it's OG, the price has really gone up. Just like CryptoKitties, I think when you buy it from a long time ago, it's like super, you know, it's not expensive, but now the price has gone up. Same thing. And also the third factor is like what they have. So like the like hoodie, for example. So like I'm like in the Clubhouse community, and we're talking about hoodies for CryptoPunks and how that makes it more expensive. Certain rarity and properties would basically drive the cost up for certain NFTs. And if you look at the collectibles, they have properties, and so you look at different factors and different properties, and some properties are rare, and that drives the price up. Another thing that I should talk about is bonding curve. So if you guys are looking into NFT, think about bonding curve, because, or even if you're selling NFTs. So if you're the first to buy, the price is lower, and then it goes up, so that it motivates people to buy early. So that's something to kind of like do research on and look into.
The fascinating world of incentive design, which is really cool in the blockchain space. Okay, just to a wrap-up question is, Michelle, looking back at your extensive career, would you want to share one highlight moment for you? What did you feel most excited about during your long journey in the crypto field?
Yeah, so I find joy in different things. So it's not really one, moment. Like I think I fell like 10,000 times, right? And like most people don't, like, don't really care about that. But I think it's just like a series of doing things that you're afraid of, like walking into the unknown. I got excited when, like, I remember when I quit my job, and one of my friend was just like, oh, I wanted to, I wanted to, like, invest, or something. And I was just like, huh? Like, why? Like, you don't even know what I'm doing, that was kind of like, whoa, like, the fact that someone believe in you, that is amazing, like without knowing what you're doing, that's kind of cool, having like working with different team members, I really love like that, like just working with different team members, working with different people, collaborating as a team. I kind of love that, and then like also, building things that people love, like seeing your product featured, especially, when, like I remember my products were, our products were featured on Apple, and there was I remember there was a guy that wanted to charge me 150,000, like just for some kind of process to teach you how to get your product onto Apple main page, and I didn't, and he basically probably didn't think I could do it, and he actually disappeared, and like I'm just like, okay, I guess because I'm a woman, I met with him, and he I didn't look like I'm like going to be a successful person, so he like literally didn't help me. It disappeared, and like for some reason I built, like we built, the app, a lot of it I make myself, and they become, viral, and like I'm just like a woman, and a lot of these platforms are really nice to me, and I'm really grateful for that. So, like even if, like, I guess my message is that even if people don't believe in you, even if people go away, just kind of believe in yourself, because that's all you have. Sometimes even without a team, you can do it, and just kind of have faith in your work and what you do, because I think your strength and you, it's unique, and it's special, and that's a whole concept. That's a metaphor of this decentralization NFT movement. Is really about empowerment. It's about you, and people are buying from you, that's what it's really about, and your community, and the people who loves you. And so you really wanted to build that community, and really find the people who love your art. And it's just one person sometimes, and you don't have to have the whole community. And even if you don't sell your art in like a couple months, and just have faith that they haven't discovered you already, and that there's going to be one person, one investor, one collector who's going to love your art. That's about it. It's really as simple as that.
Let this sink in. I want to thank you very much for sharing time with us today. Highly appreciated. We have your contact data here on the slide, so everyone please follow or have a look at Michelle's artwork. And yeah, thanks a lot, Michelle, for being here. Everyone else, we're seeing you next week again for Unit Masters Week 5, and that week we will go a step outside of the blockchain space and look at, the broader sphere around stakeholder economy and what does it actually take to reshift the economy into a more fair society. Thanks everyone for being with us, and thank you, Michelle, again. Have a good one.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you for having me. Bye bye.